morning sun shines on the gleaming hide of a muscular ranch horse. The aroma of bacon and coffee drifts from the wood cook stove at a cow camp. Silver spurs jingle as the men and women of the West get set for another day in the saddle. From the heart of Canada's finest ranching country, this is the Spirit of the West with rancher and horse trainer Hugh McLennan and his collection of music, poetry, and conversations with the folks who live and work with horses and cattle in the Spirit of the West.
She was a very good barrel racer, and today she's a renowned silversmith creating beautiful pieces from custom-commissioned belt buckles to earrings and a vast collection of jewelry, horn caps, conchos, and so much more. Her work has been on display at the Calgary Stampede and the NFR in Las Vegas. Along with her husband Dean, they raise top-quality Blue Valentine quarter horses. Shauna Erickson, along with several members of her family, were with us on our Sea of Cortez cruise recently, and hear just a bit of her amazing life story.
Thank goodness for a family, I'll tell you that much. And when you're sick and going through stuff, it's the people around you that get you through it.
And Baxter Black's commentary this week is a salute to the folks he calls the keeper of the keys, and it does apply to the cattle industry.
They breed the purebred cattle, and they know their cows by heart, and they'll talk your dang fool leg off if you let them start.
On the Rangeland News, some experts are backing off somewhat on their predictions for this year's cattle prices.
Steer prices would fall 7.7%, but...
And that's a pretty big but. Anyway, we've got a great piece of cowboy poetry again this week. Another one from Susie Knight.
This morning, for instance, I'm riding to help out a neighbor who called late last night.
On the horse training file, I'll look at how taking a horse on a trail ride can make him better, or a lot worse, depending on what you do. Another beautiful classic song of the West and the story behind it, and we'll get you going with a brand new song from a pretty good cowboy who lives in Michigan. This is Les Frick.
The soft glow of the lantern lights up the wagon like a beacon that beckons on a sagebrush sea. For a while it's our home, and I must say I've grown to love this life on the trail. As I turn old Buck in with the cabbie, and he trots off to join up for the night. Just then a smile comes on my face as I think about the day and the big-hearted horses that I ride. But we wake before the dawn, a big stretch and you're up and gone. Stow your bedroll in the wagon for the night. Grab a few biscuits and some bacon, there's no time for wasting. Wash it all down with a cup of coffee, and you're headed for the rope corral. Soon he's standing by your side, so you pull the cinch up tight. Cowboy, your leg is clear, the kennel one more time. Looks like you've been given one more day to ride. As I stow away my gear, around the firelight I hear voices in a meter, soft and low. Well, that fire warms my soul as Jim cites another poem about a puncture he knew so long ago. Wouldn't trade this life that I'm living to ride out in country some men have never seen. And I'm earning my wages as a cowboy, and that friend's worth $1 million to me. With a good horse between my knees and the Lord at my side, I ain't just surviving another day. I'm living the life that is free. But we wake before the dawn, a big stretch and you're up and gone. Stow your bedroll in the wagon for the night. Grab a few biscuits and some bacon, there's no time for wasting. Wash it all down with a cup of coffee, and you're headed for the rope corral. Soon he's standing by your side, ride. So you pull the cinch up tight. Cowboy, your leg is cleared the cantle one more time. Looks like you've been given one more day to ride. Looks like you've been given one more day to ride, ride, ride. Under that blue sky, ride, cowboy, ride. Thank you, Lord, for one more day to ride.
Boy, there's one that just resonates down deep in a cowboy's soul. Wonderful lyrics from Les Frick. Well, Shauna Erickson and her husband Dean, among many business activities, raised some of those stout, solid, beautiful blue roan quarter horses.
We raise blue Valentine bred horses.
Blue roans.
Yeah, I've got a ton of blue roans. So we've got 6 mares, I think, foaling here pretty soon, and 1 stud here, and we got another one coming up from Colorado, high percentage blue Valentine, so we're looking forward to that. And so he's home this year, but I'll find a way to drag him on the next one, because I'm sure he'd love to talk. We found some other guys that drive logging trucks and to visit about horses. He could sit on the deck all day and visit with some guys. So
now, do some of those blue Valentines of yours go right back to Hancock bloodlines?
They sure do. We have our stud is by Babe's Blue Roan, and he's I think he's 52.5% blue Valentine. We just sold a mare down to the Wagon Wheel Ranch last year. She was at 57%. She was the highest percentage blue Valentine in the world. Most of our horses are above 47%, and a lot of them go down to the States. It's not a well-known bloodline, it seems, in Alberta. I don't know why, because it's real ranchy. They're really stocky and really ranchy. A lot of people are, they've heard bad things about Hancock. I've never seen any of ours that have nothing less than kind hearts, and they're just sweethearts to be around. So,
well, I know I've got friends that have had blue Valentine, or even going back to Hancock rope horses, been outstanding rope horses. I mean, stout and strong and solid and dependable.
Yeah, and that's where they go. They get the good strong knees and wide chests and lots of heart and really good bone, and we've got some really good mares at home, high percentage, and we like the American dollar. We like sending them down to the States right now. So we had some pretty good luck last year, but we'd sure like to keep them around home too. It's nice to see them when they grow up. You sell them when they're babies, and you want to, you almost want to. I try to keep up with the people that buy them, and you want to see them when they're grown up and how they're doing.
Do you have a production sale, or is it all just by private?
We don't really have enough for production sales, But we really like to handpick the homes, so we like doing the private sales, and we're on the internet, and so that's why a lot of them go to the States. They find us online, and like seeing that.
So we want to look in. What's your website?
Our website's Alberta Blue Valentine.
There you go.
Yeah, .com. So yeah.
Now, do you sell them as weanlings or as yearlings, or?
Most of them go as weanlings. Yeah, we hardly have. We've got 2 sold this year that aren't even foaled yet, so we've got deposits on them. Shauna's
life has had some spectacular mountaintop experiences and some deep, dark valleys. And you can't help but be inspired by her story and her amazing outlook, and more about her incredible journey when The Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to The Spirit of the West. Shauna Erickson, with her bright smile, keen wit, and sparkling personality, really brightened up our recent Spirit of the West cruise. This ranch wife, barrel racer, and artist shared a lot of inspiration for all of us. Now, your life has taken a lot of twists and turns on the trail that you've traveled on. Tell me a little bit about the journey you've gone through.
Well, about 6 or 7 years ago, I come down with breast cancer, and thank goodness for family, I'll tell you that much. And when you're sick and going through stuff, it's the people around you that get you through it. And I was really glad that I got it instead. It was me and not my brothers, because they both had families and kids and jobs. And I was really fortunate that I was doing silver at the time, so I could measure out my time and do silver a half a day or once every week or twice when it got bad or sick, and got through that okay. And then had a spot. They found a spot in my ovary, so I went and did dealt with that and come through the other side. And, you know, you just get checkups, and it's been, you know, it wasn't great all the time, but I'm fine, so everything's great.
Went through chemo and everything.
Oh, yeah, I went through chemo and all the jokes. And, you know, we just made fun. You just make a joke when you can, because if you don't, it's so worrisome that, you know, when I lost my hair, Scott shaved his head, and we had a ball with it. I did a barrel race benefit and give a bunch of money to the Calgary Breast Cancer Foundation, and had some really good times, actually, and wore a lot of pink and had a lot of crazy wigs, and, you know, drew my eyebrows in, and away I went. It was a lot faster getting ready to go out, because you just threw a wig on and drew your eyebrows on, away you went. So
something. And those images immediately brought to my mind a song written and sung by another great barrel racer, ranch wife and mom, from the Buffalo Head Ranch, Suzanne DePoli.
She's gonna fly, 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 fly that barrel race. An angel's gonna fly. Yeah, she'll win that race with speed and grace. That barrel race, an angel's gonna fly. She's tough, she's sweet, determined to beat the time she ran last week. Traveling down the road singing country tunes with a smile, 'cause she's living her dreams. She's gonna fly, 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 fly that barrel race. An angel's gonna fly. Yeah, she'll win that race with speed and grace. That barrel race, an angel's gonna fly. She believes in her horse, it's teamwork, of course. There's goals she's striving for. Championships a must, self-confidence and trust in her faith, for strength evermore. She's gonna fly, 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 fly that barrel race. An angel's gonna fly. Yeah, she'll win that race with speed and grace. That barrel race, an angel's gonna fly. You go, girl, you go to the next rodeo. Don't stop till you're at the top. A wild child set free with precision and speed. You go, girl, you go, you ride. She's gonna fly, 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 fly that barrel race. An angel's gonna fly. Yeah, she'll win that race with speed and grace. That barrel race, an angel's gonna fly. That barrel race, an angel's gonna fly.
By a couple of Alberta's finest musicians there, the flying fingers of Dwayne Sands on the keyboard, and the fine, fantastic fiddle of Myron Zott on Barrel Racing Angel from Suzanne DePoli. Now, let's get back to the story from Shauna Erickson.
But yeah, there's a terrific picture of you actually turning the barrel on a horse with no hat and no hair and a pink outfit, and it's spectacular. And you're just in perfect position on that barrel. You must have had a pretty good time on that run.
Well, it was, I did all right, but I borrowed a horse from friends Murray and Lynn McGonigal. My horse was too old to run by then, and it was funny because I felt so great that day, and here I am, and I was so embarrassed about, being bald, and, men have their cars and women have their hair. I always said it's a big deal for a woman to be bald, and then once I got over it, pretty quickly, and had a bunch of people show up in wigs, and we just had a laugh of it, and they lent me that horse, and I had so much fun, and the next day I was so bruised up, but it was just so much fun. I just thought it was so funny that I had a good day, and it was great. Made about $2,500. So
wow. Yeah. But your health is okay now?
Yeah, everything's great. You just go in they kick you out to pasture once you go so long that you're fine, and they just say, call us if you get sore, or you find anything on you and lumpy or bumpy, and so you go in every 6 months or a year or whatever, and get checked out, and away you go. You just gotta live for a moment. The other day Scott and I were on one of these excursions, and it was a little windy, and we went to see the sea lions and little choppy water, and I tell you what, this is the first time I've been in salt water ever. And they hand you a snorkel and a pair of flippers, and they say, jump over the boat. And I looked at Scott, and I said, I don't know if I want to do this. And he says, well, you better sit there and think, you remember that time we were on the Sea of Cortez and we sat in the boat? Yeah. Or do you want to say... Do you remember that time we were on the Sea Cortez and we jumped in and swam with the sea lions? And that's all it took. And that's he's done that throughout all of my sickness and all of my silver. And he's just such a great supporter. And I put on that snorkel, and away I went. And glad I did, because I got some really good pictures. And yeah, it was. I'm so glad he said that, because I would have chickened out pretty easily. But he's pretty good about that. You always need somebody to push in.
Yeah. Shauna's brother Scott wrote a terrific poem about the Spirit of the West cruise, and you can read it on the cruise page on our website. And Shauna talks about some of her adventures at the NFR in Vegas. Baxter Black is next, and he talks about the Keepers of the Keys, when the Spirit of the West continues right after this.
Howdy, friends. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan, with a little peek at the Keeper of the Key. What holds the loaded 30,000-pound trailer to the heavy-duty truck? What holds the 38-foot RV trailer to the dually? What holds the 2-horse trailer with your daughter's favorite pony to the half-ton pickup? Well, the odds are it's a B&W trailer hitch, probably a turnover bowl, American-made, employee-owned, customer-tuned, and proud of their part in America's greatness. B&W, holding things together down the road. This is the time of the year when the big stock shows come around. Denver, Edmonton, Kansas City, Houston, San Fran, Louisville, Fort Worth, Regina, Billings, Jackson, and Rapid City, just to name a few. These giant productions do much to promote agriculture, particularly livestock, to the urban community. Millions of parents bring their kids so they can understand that a duck is real. It's not just a cartoon character that talks funny. And urban kids get a glimpse at monumental bulls and magnificent horses that plastic models or picture books can't even begin to represent. Kids can touch and hear and, yes, smell the real thing. Well, to me, the backbone of these splendid shows are the purebred stock and those dedicated people who spend lifetimes breeding and improving them. They are truly the keeper of the key. There's a strange group of people who speak in sacred tongues. They gather in convention halls and really test their lungs. And to those on the outside, they're godlike and they're wise. As they try to win a convert with passion in their eyes, they begin to speak of bloodlines of cows their bull has sired. With evangelistic reverence, they truly are inspired. Recounting her performance and weight per day of age, they rattle off her record, reciting page on page. Her progeny's outstanding. The birth weight's sure to please. She's ranked above the average in relative calving ease. She might be Black or Bramer, Gelbfie, Maine, Jew, Simmental, or Santa, just to name a few. Hereford's Poulter, Muley, or some foreign-sounding name. It doesn't make much difference. The story's all the same. They breed the purebred cattle, and they know their cows by heart, and they'll talk your dang fool leg off if you let 'em start. But I got to give 'em credit, because resting in their hand is the blueprint of the future for cows throughout the land. So I'll try and learn the business and call a bull by name. But I've made one observation about people in this game. Listening to these purebred folks makes me think right now, New Delhi's not the only place they have a sacred cow. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan, brought to you by B&W Turnover Bowl.
Mark your calendar for Ulrich Herford's 10th annual bull sale, Tuesday, February 23rd at Baylog Auction, Lethbridge, Alberta. On offer, approximately 50 top-quality bulls. The sale includes a great set of long yearlings, and you can see them at ulrichhervards.com. These bulls are the sons of industry leaders. For more information, call Peter, 403-625-1036. That number again, 1-403-625-1036. Ulrich Hervards, specializing in light birth weights with great performance, plus remarkable cows. Now, just ahead of the Rangeland news, here's a gal who lit up the stage at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival a few times, Western music superstar Belinda Gale.
Yodelay, yodeloo-tee, yodelay, yodeloo-tee, yodelay, yodeloo. I want a hand-carved belt, a Silverado buckle set, and a Palomino pony to ride. Stetson sombrero with 5 X's in the band, a pair of Shipley spurs, and a great big patch of land. A pair of Justin boots I'll have with 7 rows of stitching. Then I'll get that flowered shirt of which I've been a-itching. When they holler, "Where's your horse?" I know I'm really pitching. 'Cause I've just got to be a cowgirl. I want a bright red scarf and a singing lariat and an old guitar to play as I ride. While I'm a-riding, I'll go hippie, yippee, yay. I'll learn to yodel too and go on the air someday. I'll woo a western guy I know, and when I've got him landed, I'll wrap him in my lariat, loving single-handed. I'll rope the moon and stars and have my old Ford pickup branded. 'Cause I've just got to be a cowgirl. Buckle set and a Palomino pony to ride. Old saddle pillow underneath the stars above. I'll live the life of ease on the prairie that I love. I'll get pearl-handled 44s, they'll come complete with notches. I'll ride a bucking bronco watch, certain cowboy watches. Drawl say, howdy y'all, I'll even buenos noches. 'Cause I've just got to be a cowgirl. I've just got to be a cowgirl. Yodelay, yodeloo-tee, yodelay, yodeloo-tee, yodelay, yodeloo. Just got to be a cowgirl.
You're invited to the 35th South Central Select Charolais Bull Sale, March 4th at the Innisfail Auction Market. 115 Charolais bulls, 2-year-olds, yearlings, horn-polled, whites, tans, high-performance, top-quality Charolais bulls. The Marshalls and the Shuttleworths look forward to seeing you Friday, March 4th at Innisfail. For more information, call Daryl 226-0541 or Alan 227-2594.
The news of the Rangeland, a roundup of news and coming events from around the West. We'll tell you what's new under the western sky right after this word from the cattlemen of Western Canada.
And now the Rangeland News. On the top of page 1, it says, recently, some industry experts predicted a drop in steer prices in 2016. But since new information has been released, they're hedging their bets. Here's Gary Crawford.
Last month, Ag Department Outlook Board analysts were projecting that beef production this year would top 2015 by 3.8%. Steer prices would fall 7.7%. But that was before USDA's new cattle report came out a few days ago, showing larger than expected inventory numbers and an implied bigger expansion of the herd underway. USDA will put out a new beef forecast incorporating that cattle report, and Outlook Board Chairman Seth Meyer told us.
That will inform our expectations about beef production for quite a long time frame, considering the biological lags in that market. That'll inform us for the rest of 2016 and perhaps into our thinking as we begin this process for the following year. So we always look at those cattle reports as having a longer impact on our thinking for beef production.
We'll see what that thinking is when USDA releases its new supply and demand report. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Washington.
Agriculture Canada just released a list of regions that will be eligible for tax deferrals as a result of last year's dry conditions. The area eligible comprises a large portion of south and central British Columbia, all but the northeast corner of Alberta, much of southwestern Saskatchewan, and a portion of central Manitoba. The tax deferral allows producers to defer some 2015 sale proceeds received if they sold breeding livestock and instead claim it in the 2016 tax year. 16% of the prairies received below normal precipitation last year between April 1st and July 1st. According to federal statistics, there were 27,000 farms in the region and more than 5.8 million cattle. And drought conditions caused forage shortages, and some producers sold all or part of their breeding herds as a result. A new court decision will prevent a horse slaughter operation from opening in New Mexico after the state's lengthy battle. Valley Meat had sought to convert its cattle processing plant in Roswell to the slaughtering of horses, but the state sued in 2013 in an effort to stop those plans, saying such an operation would violate New Mexico's environmental and food safety laws. The order and previous rulings from the judge effectively end any chance of a horse slaughter operation opening in New Mexico, according to Bruce Wagman, an attorney for the horse advocacy group Front Range Equine Rescue. Well, starting in 2016, Canadian Pro Rodeo News will be joining forces with Canadian Cowboy Country magazine, published by the Tanner Young Publishing Group out of Edmonton. Canadian Cowboy Country magazine has a long history of covering and promoting Canadian pro rodeo, and this practice will become more official this year with a designated segment of every magazine promoting pro rodeo. Canadian Cowboy Country offers a much broader global circulation and highlights a wide range of Western lifestyle topics, as you know, and it's available by subscription and through newsstands. Canadian cattle ranches and feedlots were short 8,000 workers in 2015. That's a labor crunch that is only expected to get worse. These shortages, according to a report, are all on farm and don't include the more than 1,000 known vacancies in the meat packing and processing plants. Nearly a third of Canada's agriculture workers are expected to retire over the next decade. And here's something you might want to take in: the Innisfail bucking stock sale. May 31st, 2016, horses will be bucked, horses and bulls, at the rodeo grounds at Innisfail. 1 p.m. horses and bulls. Also selling will be pickup horses and ranch horses. And the sale will be at 1 p.m. following dinner. For more information, just call Kyle Danes at 403-598-0311. And that takes us down to the final item. As a trucker stopped at a red light, a woman whose hair color I will not reveal catches up in her car. She jumps out of her car and runs up to his truck and knocks on the door, and the trucker lowers the window and she says, "Hi, my name is Heather, and I wanted to tell you you're losing some of your load." The trucker ignores her, proceeds down the street. When the truck stops for another red light, the girl catches up, and again she jumps out of her car, runs up and knocks on the door, and again the trucker lowers the window. As if they've never spoken, the girl says brightly, "Hi, my name is Heather, and you are losing some of your load." Shaking his head, the trucker ignores her and again continues down the street. At the third red light, the same thing happens. All out of breath, the girl gets out of her car, runs up, knocks on the truck door. The trucker lowers the window, and again she says, "Hi, my name is Heather, and you are losing some of your load." When the light turns green, the trucker revs up and races to the next light, and when he stops this time, he gets out of his truck and runs back to the girl's car. He knocks on her window. As she lowers it, he says, "Hi, my name is Kevin. It's winter in BC, and I'm driving a salt truck." And that's the Rangeland News. Coming up on the Horse Training File, how taking your horse on a trail ride can make him better or a lot worse, depending on what you do. There's more from Shauna Erickson and a great song from the latest CD from Ryan Fritz, When the Spirit of the West, continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. On this week's Horse Training File, we'll look at how taking a horse that has mostly been ridden in an arena out on a trail ride can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you handle him on the trail. But before we get into that, for those of you who have been wondering about the next Spirit of the West cruise, well, here's the scoop. In mid-June 2017, it will be, you guessed it,
way up north to Alaska, way up north to Alaska, north to Alaska, we're going north, the rush is on.
Yeah, the rush is already on. The Spirit of the West gang will fly to Anchorage on or around early June 2017. We'll have about 3 days of touring that includes the spectacular Denali National Park Railroad with wildlife roaming free, a look at the highest peak in North America, Mount McKinley, great meals, a fine hotel, and then we board a beautiful cruise ship for a journey down the Inside Passage with side trips to some of Alaska's most famous spots, sailing right into the amazing Vancouver waterfront. And as I said, we already have a bunch of folks signed up for this one. Get all the details on our cruise page at hugh-mclennan.com or call the toll-free number 1-800-530-0131. Now the Horse Training File. Some riders never want to be outside the arena, others never want to be inside the arena, and the big challenge for arena riders is to feel comfortable and confident with their horse out on the trail by themselves or with a group of riders. A horse that is lacking a good solid foundation can cause a lot of issues and stress for the rider. Some horses that are okay in the arena and might not be good candidates for the trail without a lot of expert training. One indication is, as several good trainers have said, a horse that's hard to catch at home can be a real basket case on the trail. Sometimes it can help to turn the arena horse or horses out in a field or a pasture where there's, water, creeks, mud, and trees and rocks, and just let them get accustomed to natural obstacles on their own. Now, taking a horse on a trail ride can be the best or the worst thing you can do with them, depending on how you handle it. The herd dynamic is a powerful force, and just about every horse you take out in a group will begin to get more security from the herd and less from his rider. Things will seem to be okay until you try to ride away from the group by yourself, and it doesn't take long for the pull of the herd to influence the horse's behavior. Riding along nose to tail with no independent cues from the rider just reinforces this herd-bound behavior. Now, if your horse has a good foundation, it's important to make sure he knows you're the one directing him. Rather than riding in the tracks of the horse ahead of you, take him off the trail quite often, go around a few trees before coming back onto the main trail. Circle around a rock, work on lateral control and two-tracking as you ride. And once things seem okay, ride a ways away from the herd and let him rest there if he will. The idea is to always have him finding his security with your leadership, not from being in the center of the herd. And that's the Horse Training File. Every day, Lucky just kind of picks her ears up and her eyes open because she knows it's time for me to open the gate out of the horse pasture, and she'll be waiting there. And she goes from the horse pasture around the corner into the big barn door and into her very own stall, and that's where that daily feeding of Hoffman's horse ration is waiting. I don't even have to put a halter on her. She'll stay there until she's finished every last morsel. And I think that's why she's doing so well at her advanced age. Find out more at Hoffman'sHorseRation.com. I hear these horses are headed to the Top Gun Horse Sale. Consign now to the 3rd annual Top Gun Horse Sale and be part of the largest selection of road horses offered for sale in Western Canada. Preview April 16th at 5 p.m. Sale starts April 17th at high noon. Ride, rope, ranch, trail ride, and barrel racing, team sorting, kids' horses, broke teams, young stock, and many more. All horses will be ridden, driven, or led into the sale ring. Heated box stalls, wash racks, heated indoor arena, hay, shavings, cattle to preview at no extra cost. Rain or shine, everything's inside. Book now to receive the most advertising. For more information and entry forms, go to TopGunHorseSales.com or call Jordan at 403-783-0246. How about a weekend pass to the 20th anniversary edition of the Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 17th to 20th, 2016? What a lineup of entertainers. Tom Cole, Brian Salmond, Alan Moberg, Gary Felgard, Ed Peekycoot, Tim Huss, the Western Spirit Band, and many of the performers from the very first festival 20 years ago. There's the BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, the Spirit of the West Rising Star Showcase, dinner shows, evening concerts, and a wonderful art and gear show with the best artisans in the West. Workshops on everything from guitar picking to songwriting with the best experts in the field. For folks in Alberta, Frontier Bus Lines has a great package trip. You can get all the information at bcchs.com or call 1-888-763-2221. Some of the best guitar pickers on the planet are going to be there, including Nathan Tinkham, who was part of Ian Tyson's band for many, many years, the great Ed Peekycoot, and my brother Jim, and they are all going to be doing workshops on various guitar picking styles. Well, just before we get back to Shauna Erickson, got the latest CD from Ryan Fritz last week, and boy did he nail it with this one, called Keeper of the West. And this song just makes me want to grab Miss Billy and do an old-time waltz around the kitchen. It's called Mountain Town Maiden.
Well, somewhere divine, across sage and pine, an old cowboy rides in alone. And his day was spent where 50 years went, a horse and a saddle is home. The twisting old trails he knows quite well, and legends that won't be renowned. To those he knows well, sometimes he'll tell of the maiden from that mountain town. And when he hears soft fiddles play, he remembers them dancing that way. With her memory held tight, she's the love of his life, the maiden from that mountain town. Mountains are old and stories are told of love lost and riches ne'er found. But the ranchers they came, and here they remain, like treasure to the old mountain town. But when he hears soft fiddles play, he remembers them dancing that way. With her memory held tight, she's the love of his life, the maiden from that mountain town. Does she even know? Would she care to know? A cowboy has loved her from so long ago. Though it might seem rough, he said it's enough to just love a memory some more. And when he hears soft fiddles play, he remembers them dancing that way. With her memory held tight, she's the love of his life, the maiden from that mountain town. With her memory held tight, she's the love of his life, the maiden from that mountain town. The maiden from that mountain town. The maiden from that mountain town.
Just so glad to tell you that Ryan Fritz will be at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival March 17th to 20th, and of course the schedule is now up there at bccchs.com. And we were cruising through the beautiful Sea of Cortez. A few weeks ago, Shauna Erickson was sharing some of her amazing life story, and we'll take you right back there now, and actually, you'll hear a little surprise I had for her at the end of the interview.
And what's on your agenda as soon as we finish this up when you get home?
Well, I just, it's funny because I went to the NFR and I had my first booth there with a talented girl named Paige Albright, and she does belts and leather. She also does artwork, but she had her belts and her purses there. We had a great time at NFR and got home from that, went through Christmas, and I started packing again because it was, it was only a couple weeks ago we went to the NFR. So after this, I wash all the salt off my clothes and pack up and go to Arizona and stay with Joe and Shauna Lucas. I go down there every year.
Joe Lucas, wow, you're a calf roping legend.
Yeah, he sure is, and his kids are right in his footsteps. Kyle is going on the rodeo trail, and Katie just finished her Miss Rodeo Canada. She now works for Pro Rodeo Canada as one of their advisors for their media. She's really good at that stuff, and so Sean and I, we go down there, and I have a ball down there with those ladies, and Joe kind of looks after us, and he looks after the ropings, and, waves bye to us in the day when we go shopping, and we head down to Tucson, and I buy all my stones for the year. I buy all my stuff for my turquoise, and I buy a little bit of rubies and a little bit of this and aquamarine and stuff like that, and I'll start getting ready for Stampede right away. Just before we left, I put in my, every year you get juried in for the Stampede Art Show, so I put in my application, and God willing, and everything goes right, they'll pick me again. So I've been there, this will be my 13th year with them, so if I get in, I'll start working for the Stampede, and maybe I'll get a custom order or two from this cruise, it sounds like. So
wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, it would be really nice. I would love to make some buckles for the guys that I met on here, and we'll just start making silver. I can't wait to get back in my shop. So
great. Well, Shauna, so glad that you and the whole family, most of the family is along. You just sort of brightened up everything for all of us with your big smiles, and just seeing you having such a great time. It's infective and contagious. And thanks for taking a few minutes out from all the things we could be doing on the ship to do this here on the Spirit of the West.
Well, thanks. I'm a bit starstruck seeing you and Billy here, and really, it's been a bit nervous, but you've made me feel right at home. So thank you. It's just been an honor to talk with you here. I really appreciate it, so thank you so much.
Good stuff. Oops, I didn't push the record button. We got to start this again. Is that okay?
Sure.
Well, she's a good sport. I actually had pushed the record button. I just wanted to see how she'd react. Anyway, next we will take a look at another classic Western song and tell you where it came from, and then it's the great Susie Knight in the Cowboy Poetry Spotlight when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. It's time for our classic Song of the West segment, and this one was one of so many written by the legendary Canadian-born Bob Nolan, founding member of the Sons of the Pioneers. And this piece, registered for copyright February the 8th, 1945, was never commercially recorded, although it was included in the Sons of the Pioneers radio transcriptions. And this was a song that Bob Nolan particularly loved, and he hoped it would catch on with the public. American Music Incorporated produced the sheet music in 1945, and actually, here's what the great singer Bob Wagner had to say about Bob Nolan. Bob Nolan, there's a man I've idolized since I was a kid. I don't know if there was just something about that guy that was so manly. I just lived for the first time I could meet him, and I finally did. That was in 1944 when I met him on the sound stage at Republic Studios. He left an impression on me even then. And as the years went on, Bob Nolan became very good friends with Bob Wagner, and they did a lot of fishing together. And Bob Nolan began collecting the artwork of Bob Wagner. So here's Bob Wagner's version of Bob Nolan's Old Forgotten Trails.
Old forgotten trail, I still remember hear them calling, though they pass. Forget them not, old friend, for they remember you. Though their footprints leak in silent slumber, you alone know where to find them somewhere. Someday I know I'll go where you go somewhere. I'll meet them there, and we will ride together old forgotten trails. Though their footprints leap in silent slumber, you alone know where to find them somewhere. Someday I know I'll go where you go somewhere. I'll meet them there, and we will ride together old forgotten trails. We'll ride together, my pals and I, old trails.
Now, when it comes to good cowboy poetry, Susie Knight does it real well. She's worked on ranches as a wrangler, horse trainer, ranch hand, and trail guide in Illinois, Wisconsin, South Dakota, and Colorado. And most recently, she's been a horseback riding instructor in the Denver, Colorado area, and she lives just in the Rockies west of Denver now. And this is from her latest collection, Fillin' Tanks, and the poem is called Bein' a Neighbor.
It's a bluebird day on the western slope of the Rocky Mountains this morn. This is the home where I was raised. This is the place I was born. Don't visit big cities like that Denver town. Don't ask what's beyond the divide. I have all that I'll ever need or I'll want in these meadows where daily I ride my good buckskin gelding. I've had him for ages. He's under my saddle each day. I'm grateful for reasons to tack him up early to make sure he's earning his pay. This morning, for instance, I'm riding to help out a neighbor who called late last night. He heard there's a snowstorm that's brewing in Utah. He's more than concerned that it might push his quarter-horse broodmares well into the canyons and pastures way out toward the east. With their backs to the wind, they'd seek out a low spot and wait till the storm has decreased. But snowdrifts could bunch up so high that the mares would get socked in without a way out. They'd die within days without feed and fresh water. We both agreed there was no doubt we'd saddle up early and gather him slow to his home in this calm for the storm. It's hard to believe that a blizzard is blowing. This mid-April day is so warm. But that's what it's like in these western slope mountains. You never know when it may snow. We beat nature's fury, at least for the moment, with mamas-to-be all in tow. Don't do this for money. We all work together. It ain't about making a buck. I wonder if big city folks help their neighbors whenever they're down on their luck.
Well, if you'd like to look at some of the beautiful silver work of my guest Shauna Erickson, you can find it on Shauna's website. It's www.sweetiron.com. And you know, there's a copy of Alberta Beef Magazine on our kitchen table all the time. Garth and Lee and the crew do an amazing job covering the beef industry, and you can subscribe by calling 403-250-1090 or just see albertabeef.ca. And a big thank you to Jordan Dodds and his Top Gun horse sale, Ulrich Herefords, and Future Farms for using the spirit of the West to reach your customers. And that, friends, helps keep this program on the air. So if you see any of those folks, be sure and thank them for us. And thanks again to our great support crew, Mark and Kathy McMillan. See them at meadowsprings.com, and you'll of course see them working hard at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival. Till next week, I'm Hugh McLennan. Hope to see you down the trail somewhere real soon.